Hello guys, Adam here from Switch Indie Fix, and today I am bringing you episode 6 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. Today is a beautiful Saturday morning here in Vienna on the 12th of May, and this week, like last week, I will be bringing the show to you alone. Again, due to time restraints, it's kind of been hard to get people to match up to my schedule, so I thought I'd just go alone this week. And like usual, I have forgotten to set a timer, but that doesn't matter. I'm looking at my watch. It's now 10 o'clock in the morning, so we'll see how many minutes it lasts. So yes, welcome to the Switch Indie Fix podcast. This week we have a lot of news to talk about. I can't believe literally how much stuff happened this week in the world of Nintendo and indie news, so I'm excited to get into that. I'm going to be talking probably mostly about that today, so if you missed out on this week's news, I hope you'll this podcast really will be for you. But first, let's just do the housekeeping as always. If you haven't already, please head over to switchindiefix.com. Check out my review of Severed. The review actually did pretty well numbers wise. I got like a retweet from Drinkbox Studios, so the review got a lot of hits, which was awesome. And the game itself, like I said, it's pretty unique to the Switch. It's just a touch-based first-person dungeon crawler. So if you're looking for something a little bit different on the Switch, make sure you go and check out the review and let me know what you think. Also, last week I started a YouTube channel. It's basically just the audio for the podcast right now, just with like a still in the background. So if you're the type of person that doesn't have time to listen to a podcast on their way to work, or maybe sits at a computer and would prefer to likes having YouTube on in the background, then it's possible to just listen to the podcast via YouTube. So make sure you go over to YouTube and search for Switch Indie Fix. There should be 2 episodes up there. If you can, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like and rate and comment on the videos. That would be awesome. Today or tomorrow, I guess for you guys, there won't be a review this week. Like I said, it's been kind of busy. I have wrote a piece about the Nintendo Switch Online structure that I've kind of want to talk about, and which I will talk about mostly in this episode of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. So if you have any thoughts, or if you're interested on that, keep an eye out for that going up on social media in the next maybe 24 hours. I get into depth here, but I'm trying to go into a little bit more, and I'm talking about the Switch's online, the price point mostly. Like, is it too much that they're asking for, or is it too little? Because I think it's kind of a strange price, but we'll get into that a little bit more in today's show. And the last thing that I want to remind you guys is that on the 30th of May, so which is a week on Wednesday, there will be a gaming chat over on the Switch Indie Fix Discord. If you want to join the Discord, just go to switchindiefix.com/Discord, join up and say hello. We're planning to play Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon 2, but I'm also looking for indie suggestions. So if you know any good indie multiplayer games, please join the Discord, say hello, and let me and give me a suggestion, because there are so many great indie co-op games, but I'm really struggling to think of a good multiplayer game. At first I was thinking maybe NBA Playgrounds, but I've heard the online isn't so good. Rocket League would be a good idea, but it just comes down to what everyone has. So the more suggestions I have, the more likely it is that people have the same game. And yeah, I'm really excited. I wanted to do one of these community events since I started the website, but just with time, I'm just not able to, especially with trying to get everyone on the US into to these kind of events, because usually when I'm free, most of the people are there. It's either they're working or they're sleeping. So luckily I have another day off on the Thursday of that week, so I'll be able to start the game chat late-ish on the Wednesday night. For me, about 9 o'clock it's starting, Central European summertime, and I plan on playing on through the night. So it'd be really awesome if some of you guys could join and let me and say hello and play some games with me. So make sure you join the Discord, or if you have more suggestions about what games to play, hit me up on Twitter at SwitchIndieFix. So that's all the housekeeping for today. Let's just get on with the news. And like I said, there is, I think, 9 news stories this week, so that's half a baker's dozen. And the first news story is about the Switch, Nintendo's plan for the Switch's online service. So, I actually spent quite a bit of time writing these news stories out, so I'm just really gonna read from my script. Okay, so again, this is still part of like the test phase for my podcast. If you like me reading from a script, please let me know, and if you don't like me reading, please let me know as well, because I can do it either way. I can just put bullet points and just kind of go off the bullet points and kind of explain a bit more, or I can go off the script. So today we're going from the script. So the first story reads, finally, Nintendo has outlined its plan for its new paid online service. The service is a must if you like playing online games such as ARMS, Splatoon 2, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The service will cost $19.99 for 12 months, $7.99 for 3 months, or $3.99 per month, with a family option which supports up to 8 Switches for $34.99. So the pricing, like I say, I think it seems very cheap compared to its competitors, and with the family pack, I think if you have 8 people who own Switches, it's well worth just buying the family pack, because I think then it costs you all like $5 a month. $5 a year, because I don't think there's any like restriction on that all the Switches have to be on the same profile, or they all have to be in the same place. So really, if you have 7 friends who have Switches, you should definitely go for the $34.99 a year, which is kind of outrageously cheap. So the story continues. Though the plan does seem cheap compared to Nintendo's rivals Microsoft and Sony, there is a debate if the $19.99 a year is worth what Nintendo is offering. The $19.99 will get you access to online play, which right now is free, save data cloud backup, an improved and better supported Nintendo Online app, and access to Nintendo Entertainment System - Nintendo Switch Online. Nintendo also outlines that members of the online service will receive special offers, but doesn't go into any details of what these are. So, though it does sound like there is a lot for the $19.99 a year, there are still some complaints from Nintendo fans. So the first complaint, or the first issue, comes from the saved data cloud backup. So that is that it's only available to those who pay for the online services. This means that if you don't use the service and you lose or have your Switch stolen, then there'll be nowhere to get your saves back, which is how it is currently. That if your Switch breaks, or if you lose it or it gets stolen, then your 100-hour Zelda save is lost forever. So fans are mumbling because this service is free on Sony's PSN and Microsoft's Xbox Live. Furthermore, rumor on the web is spreading that not every game may support the cloud backup. To me, it sounds a bit like the video recording services on the Switch, where every Nintendo first party comes with the functions, and the third party and indie games slowly catch up through patches. Again, this is just a rumor and my own theory, but we'll have to see. So yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, much like the video recording issue, where a lot of games get it late, and it might take the indie games like a year after the release to actually have this function, which I think is kind of, I don't know, it's one of those things with Nintendo where it's like a catch-22, where they're giving you this new function that seems like what everyone wants, but then they're not really going like 100% in on it, because it might be that only Nintendo games have the function at the start. I really hope this is just a rumor. I really hope it isn't true. I think it comes from the press release they released. The wording they used was very strange, and it kind of gave oxygen to this fire of a rumor. But yeah, it's just typical Nintendo that they give you something and then they kind of ruin it a little bit by, okay, yeah, you have it now, but there's this problem. So let's just wait and see. So the second issue with the service is that it has ended the virtual console as we know it. Nintendo confirmed to Kotaku that there are currently no plans to bring classic games together under the virtual console banner, as has been done on other Nintendo systems. Instead, Nintendo will introduce a new Netflix-like service that at first will include 20 classic NES titles, with 10 more to be revealed before the launch of the service. New and old games will be added and removed from month to month, just like Netflix. So that, yeah, it'll just kind of, I assume that games will be then taken away and new games will be added on a monthly basis. I think I kind of like this idea. I think it would be awesome if Nintendo curated it month to month. So, you know, like 1 month it might be this is an RPG month, so you get all these classic RPGs. Or it might be, this month is, I don't know, Mario month, so you get the whole Mario catalog that month, or Zelda, or whatever. I kind of like this idea. I like that they're kind of limited in what you can play. So there's not just like, you know, 1,000 games to play, because when you have too many games, I think then it means like you never play anything. It's kind of like the Netflix problem, where you spend more time searching through the menus for something than actually watching something. So the first 20 titles are Soccer, Tennis, Balloon Fight, Ice Climbers, Donkey Kong, Dr. Mario, Mario Bros, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Bros, and Super Mario Bros 3. Sorry, just had to clear my throat. The lineup, I think, is okay. I was kind of expecting the first few games to be the lineup of the NES mini edition, or whatever it was called, or classic edition. I think that game did have 30, so maybe the next 10 games will be, the ones from there. Sorry, I just need to clear my throat again. Better. Yeah, so I think that did have 30, so maybe these next 10 games will also be included. I honestly don't know that much about what other games were on there. I know there was the original Final Fantasy. I think Zelda 2 was on there. And these all seem like Nintendo IPs that they're releasing straight away. So maybe the third-party games will come a little bit later, which is fine. So each classic game will be enhanced with online play, so you can compete or cooperate online with friends, share your screen, or pass the controller. It's great that these games will be enhanced for the Switch, not just with online play, but it seems like visually they look different to their Virtual Console counterparts, as there are new graphics added around the borders of the screen. So I think these games have been really not remastered, but enhanced for the Switch's screen, for the handheld mode. I imagine it's pretty important, because the Switch's screen is so small in handheld mode that reading some of the text in these games is going to be like, you're going to need a magnifying glass. So I hope Nintendo has kind of like changed it a little bit so that the text looks bigger and that the screen maybe is a little bit wider. It's not just like the weird square in the middle. And the artwork around the edges, which usually is black when you play these old Nintendo ROMs, looks kind of cool. So that's exciting. It's nice to see that they've put some thought into the games that they want to bring to this service, and that they they've put some money and some time into it. So where was I? What's sad is that it seems like you cannot own these games. So once they're off the service, you can't play them again. With no Virtual Console, I assume Nintendo has some new idea to resell you these old games again. Perhaps moving away from the Virtual Console brand and starting something new will make those people that have bought Super Mario Bros. 3 5 times a little less angry when they go ahead and buy it again on the Switch. Only time will tell. So yeah, this was actually, I heard from, I think Tim Gettys on Kind of Funny, that he said that, there are those people that every time there's a new Nintendo piece of hardware, they go to the Virtual Console and buy their old Nintendo catalog again. And I think with this new Nintendo, in quotation marks, the people were hoping that maybe they would, let you link your accounts or something and bring over your games from the Virtual Console. I kind of think this was like a pipe dream wish, but I think Nintendo has kind of confirmed it with this, and that moving away from the Virtual Console will hopefully get those people to be like, okay, well, my games are gone forever. Maybe now is the time when, going forward, I'll be able to purchase these games and keep them forever. So hopefully this will be the last time you have to buy Super Mario Bros. Or I don't know, or Zelda or whatever, or Pokemon. So that's what I think is going to happen. So personally, I hope that we'll be able to download the games onto the system, and that over time, classic games from other Nintendo consoles will be added. Furthermore, $19.99 a year to get access to potentially the whole Nintendo library is a steal. I just hope they don't add some tiered system, which means you have to pay more for access to SNES games or N64 ones. So yeah, right now it's only NES games, and right now it's only 30 of them. And to get access to all of them, pretty much whenever you want for $20 a month, $20 a year, is cheap, and it kind of makes me nervous that this is what Nintendo will do, where it's like, oh well, if you want access to the SNES catalog, you need to pay an extra $5 a year, or if you want to get access to the N64 one, you need to pay an extra $10, or if you want to get access to hopefully GameCube, you need to pay $15 more a year. In retrospect, I don't think that it's that expensive. If it was an extra $15 a year to get access to all of them, to SNES games and N64 games and GameCube games, I think that's still pretty cheap, because the catalog is pretty much endless, and there is so many masterpieces on those systems. I just think, and I just hope that Nintendo would be a bit more forward with it. Maybe we'll find out some more at E3 what their plans are for the system. But right now their pricing is just what I said before. It's just for 12 months it's $19.99. So the third kind of issue is that they are updating the smartphone app. So I wrote, really Nintendo, we still have to use this damn app. I actually think I deleted it off my phone. I hope it's vastly improved and that creating a party with friends is an option. Personally, I think I'll still be using Discord for voice chat. So it still baffles my mind that Nintendo put this app out when they did, because it seems so confusing and convoluted to use, even though right now it's just for Splatoon 2. I feel like there must have been better ways that they could have done it. Even in the app itself, getting onto voice chat and getting friends together is such a pain, and it's something I'm not looking forward to doing when we have the game in chat and I have to set it up with hopefully a lot of people there. And yeah, either way, now that we're having to pay for this service, the app has to vastly be improved, because I think this is basically what you're paying for is the kind of infrastructure to be able to play with your friends, because right now I think it's almost impossible. Like even setting up a Mario Kart 8 race with Age of Boredom and Ready Player 4 was just so complicated. It should just be easy that you just invite friends and then join as a party into whatever game you're playing, and to then have to go through like some app to do that, and then go into a game. And even in Splatoon 2, if you join as a party, it's not always that you'll be on the same team. So if 4 of you join, like if you don't know Splatoon 2, you play, it's 4v4. 4v4. If 4 of you join, it could be that 2 go on one team, 2 go on the other. Like you can't play together. And I really hope that this new app or this new upgraded app solves that problem and just lets you join with your friends and just play together easier. So, and the final part is, what could the special offers be? So perhaps like PSN and Xbox Live, Switch Online members will get access to savings on games. However, knowing Nintendo, it probably means there'll be more crap on My Nintendo to spend silver points on. I would like it if our online members got some kind of percentage bonus to gold coins, maybe something like getting 5 to 10% more when you buy a game digitally on the eShop. So yeah, my idea was that there's some kind of bonus that you get for purchases to gold coins, and then obviously then you can use those gold coins on other purchases. I think that would be like a really cool idea, because I just don't see Nintendo giving discounts on games. Usually what they do is they give you like random tat on My Nintendo to buy like wallpapers or caps or like key rings, and which I think is just like a waste of time for everyone. Like I know some people might like it, but for me, I'd rather just have the discounts on the games, because I spend a lot of money on games, and it's always nice to get a little bit more, especially if you're paying for this online service. And the Xbox Live I can't really speak of because I don't play my Xbox anymore. But PSN always has like great deals and great savings on games. And with PSN you get like a free game every month, or well, between 1 and 4 free games every month, depending if you have PlayStation 4, PS Vita, and PSVR. So yeah, I hope they give something worthwhile to people that have the membership. And so I kind of round it off with only time will tell what the online service will really entail. Of course, I wanted more from Nintendo. I wanted a trophy system. I wanted the voice chat to be embedded in the Switch itself. However, for $19.99 a month, I don't think what they're offering is too bad. So yeah, I think just getting those 20 games is worth the $19.99. Usually they charge you, I think, about $5 for a virtual console game. So to get them, have them enhanced with an online mode and to hopefully look good on the Switch's handheld screen, I think is very what's the word? Very not cheap, but very it's worth your money. To see the online app get upgraded is also nice, and to get finally get the Safe Cloud backup is good as well. I just feel like that should be a service for everyone, even if you don't have the online membership. So the second story this week is that Nintendo announces an official charging stand for the Switch. So possibly one of the largest oversights on the Switch is that it can't be charged while played in tabletop mode. Now Nintendo has remedied that by creating a cool little stand that lets you charge whilst you play. However, though they have solved one problem, I feel like they've made another oversight by not including a HDMI port on the new charging stand. This would make Switch content creators' lives a lot easier because they won't have to sit right in front of their TV to record video game content. The stand launches on July 13th for $19.99. So yeah, again, it's such like Nintendo where it's like, oh, we have a problem, we've solved the problem, but not fully. If they would have put one of these HDMI cords in, it would just be so much easier I think, for people to record content, because you wouldn't need the dock, the big dock, and I think you could just put your Switch next to your capture card and plug it in, and then have your laptop next to your Switch instead of the Switch next to the TV, which then means that you really have to sit. Or like when I was testing video recording software, I was literally sat on the floor like a 7-year-old with my legs crossed, looking up at my TV with my laptop on my lap and then my controller in my hand. And yeah, it's not a great way to do it. I think the ideal way is to have like right now would be to have a screen on a desk, but I don't have one of them. So yeah, again, it's cool that Nintendo is making steps into solving these oversights that they made with the Switch, but I just really wish they'd think a little bit more about what they could have included. So story 3 is Nicalis goes on an announcement rampage again. So after announcing games like Ikagura last week, indie publisher Nicalis has still not taken their foot off the gas. This week, they told us more about the roster for their up-and-coming 2D fighting game Blade Strangers. The first new fighter will be Gunvolt from Azure Striker Gunvolt 2. Then they went ahead and added Quote from Cave Story Plus. Then they added a favourite of mine, Isaac from The Binding of Isaac, and have seemingly finished off their roster with Shovel Knight. Blade Strikers looks really cool. It has like an anime kind of aspect, and the fighting looks like awesome, like action-packed, fluid, colourful, and I'd love to get it, but I really can't do fighting games. I got Dragon Ball FighterZ just because of the art style, and I played it for about 20 minutes and was like, this is enough. I'm rubbish at these games. So I suck at fighting games. The game will also be released sometime in the summer this year for the Nintendo Switch, which is cool. After all the Blade Striker hype, they went ahead and announced Crystal Crisis. It seems that the game will be an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch and include some of Nicolaus' biggest characters. Again, Cave Story makes an appearance, The Binding of Isaac. There's also a lot of Japanese IP that I'm not that familiar with, but I kind of recognized who the characters were. I just really couldn't tell you which games they were from, or which, again, I don't know, popular culture they were from. But yeah, the game looks cool. It's sort of like it's a battle game, or they describe it as an epic puzzle fighting battle where you have two characters that are fighting, and I think to unlock fighting moves, you basically have like almost like Tetris on the side of the screen, or like a connect free puzzle where you have to then connect free, and the more you do it, the more hits you have against your enemy. That's kind of the only fighting game I could could do any good at, because yeah, you actually don't have to learn any combos. You just have to connect the puzzles. So yeah, that is definitely one I'm gonna pick up. I love it that it was like a 3D art style, not 2D or not cartoony, which is interesting to see some of these characters in those models, like the guy from Cave Story and Isaac from The Binding of Isaac. And Crystal Crisis is hopefully coming out in autumn. And finally, though it's a bit of a smaller announcement, Nicholas also announced Save Me Mr. Taco will be coming to Switch this year. Save Me Mr. Taco made headlines earlier this year because it was originally released on the Game Boy, but it's finally making the jump to Nintendo's modern hardware. So yeah, I believe they actually made like a cartridge with this game on it, because the aesthetic is that of an old Game Boy game. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Kirby, but I think it's a little bit harder. It's like a 2D side-scrolling platformer where you play as this kind of like mix of Kirby and Cubert, called Mr. Taco, and I guess you go around saving princesses. It looks like a really, really sweet game, very like old schools if you're into those old school platformers. And yeah, I'm really excited to play it. And yeah, it should be coming out this year. I don't know if I already said that, in 2018. So story number 4 is Banner Saga gets a release date. So indie darling Banner Saga gets its release date on Nintendo Switch. The beautifully hand-drawn turn-based strategy game will be releasing on May 17th. So that's less than a week away. I think that's on Thursday. Banner Saga will be coming out. Yeah, like I say, it's a beautiful game. Has a very in-depth story where your decisions really impact what happens in the story. I played Banner Saga back on PlayStation 4 and like really loved the story aspects, but the strategy kind of turn-based tiled battle system really wasn't for me. It was a little bit not complicated, but hard to get around, hard to get your head around. So I ended up not finishing it, but maybe I'll go back to it on Switch. Number 5, and one story I'm very, very excited about, is that Crazy Justice, for Switch's first ever Battle Royale, is coming in June. So, are you like me and a little bit addicted to Fortnite and wish it was on your Switch? Well, developers Black Riddle Studios saw the gap in the market, and through a successful FIG campaign, which I actually backed, have developed a Fortnite-like Battle Royale, which will hopefully launch in June. The release month comes via a response to a fan on Twitter, so maybe take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Nevertheless, the more I see of the game, the more glad I am I backed it on FIG. So yeah, they actually had like they're really pushing that this is like the first Battle Royale game on Switch. Like I think it comes to every other platform, but really they're kind of marketing it as here's a Battle Royale game for the Switch. It looks, if you imagine Fortnite, but really like an indie version of Fortnite. So it's still like, if you imagine Fortnite in like an alpha stage, that's kind of how the game looks. Like the models similar. I think it's more character based, so like you can choose a character that has skills instead of just spawning in as a generic person like you do in Fortnite. But it does look very similar. You know, you even, like every Battle Royale game, you kind of drop in off off some type of flying ship, like a flying pirate ship. And yeah, it looks cool. The FIG campaign cost, it was €15 for the pre-order of the game, and it looks good. I'm really excited. I hope like it comes out and it's good and that they build on it, because I really would love to be one of the like there when this game launches, and hopefully it's a success. Because of the Switch's online structure, we'll see how it goes. Like I really, really hope they get it to work, and I'd really love to support it. And I imagine they're gonna add skins and whatever like Fortnite does, and I'd love to see it become a success. And I'm really excited that it's coming out in June. So yeah, I'd say if you don't know about it, go over to Black Riddle Studios. Twitter page. They're really good at marketing it. There's always like a new dev blog or dev video up every day. They're also trying to say that the game's very balanced, so that, you know, if you're playing on a handheld mode on the Switch, you still have a good chance against a PC player, which I don't know, I'm not sure about, but it's good to know that they're thinking about this thing. So let's go on to story number 6, and story number 6 is that N++ Ultimate Edition makes its way to the Switch. Pretty much announced as I'm writing the docket. MetaNet really announced today that their hard Ninja platformer will be coming to the Switch on May 24th. Because of its short gameplay session, the game lends itself perfectly to the Switch's on-the-go playstyle. So yeah, I know a few people in the Discord were very excited about this game. Another like rock solid 2D platformer really isn't up my alley, but yeah, it's cool that it's coming to Switch. I know N++ kind of by name, but yeah, I've never played it, but I'm excited it's coming to the Switch. Number 7, Rocket League gets another big update. So Psyonix have laid out their content roadmap for Rocket League over the summer. There'll be a new arena, new in-game music, new licensed DLC, and the competitive Season 8 will start. So Psyonix are just giving people like me more reason to buy the game with all this new content coming out. I still haven't bought it. I saw it was on sale again, 25% off, but I need to buy it, especially maybe if we're doing this gaming chat, maybe other people have it and we should play it together. And I love that they're keeping their community engaged in the game by continuously releasing new content. Like, I think the first episode of the Switch Indie Fix podcast, I was talking about the new content update, and now about 8 weeks later they're doing another one. So that's really awesome, and keep it up, Psyonix. Number 8 is Knights of Pen and Paper +1 Deluxia Edition is announced and releasing soon. So yeah, I remember Knights of Pen and Paper releasing on Steam and thinking it looked cool, but never really thinking about it again, kind of forgetting about it. However, now that the Deluxia Edition is coming to Switch, I'm definitely going to check it out. If you don't know what the game is, it's an RPG where you play an RPG. So you play as a group of friends playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons, fighting together to go up against the evil dungeon master. Knights of Pen and Paper +1 Deluxia Edition will be released on May 29th for €14.99. Yeah, another cool, like, I always call them indie gems, because I think these games originally came out around like 2012, 2013, where indies were breaking out on Steam and like becoming very famous, and like a lot of YouTubers were playing them. This was one of those games. But like I said, I remember watching playthroughs of it back then and kind of just forgetting all about it. But I'm really glad it's coming to the Switch. I'm definitely going to pick it up. And yeah, I'll hopefully have a review for you guys soon. And episode news story 9 is that Devolver Digital announced in a Japanese, like the Japanese version of the Nindie Showcase, that they will be bringing Minute to the Japanese eShop. If you don't know what Minute is, it's kind of like a top-down, almost like Zelda action adventure game. But the hook is that each life you only have 60 seconds to play. So the game is, the idea is that you get as far as you can, you learn a little bit, you find, and then after the 60 minutes you die and you restart. But when you restart, you have all of your weapons with you. So then you have the next 60 seconds to try and go a little bit further and a little bit further until eventually you beat the game. It looks really awesome. It has kind of like Save Me Mr. Taco. It has like a Game Boy aesthetic to it. It's just black and white, very simple like pixel art. But yeah, it's a game I'm really looking forward to playing, and I assume and hope that they'll be bringing it to the American and European eShops too. And actually, yeah, we have some breaking news, which I just found out just before I started the show, was that Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is coming to the Switch on May 24th. So the crowdfunded spiritual successor to Castlevania has finally got a release date. It seems like Castlevania fans have been talking about this game for years, and it's finally coming out. What's even better is that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, this game has been kind of talked about for what seems like forever. This game and the game called Chasm, like as these new Metroidvania kind of heavily inspired by them and spiritual successor to them. Again, I think because it's crowdfunded, whenever your game's crowdfunded, it seems like there is just kind of like an undertone of them for a long time. So it's finally getting a release date. It's awesome that it's coming to Nintendo Switch. It's also coming to PlayStation Vita. So, really representing the handheld market there, which is awesome. And yeah, it comes in May. So I think that's 3 or 4 games we've talked about today that are all coming out in May, which is cool. I guess these indie publishers are trying to get them out before the summer. So, that's when people have a lot of time to play these games. So, yeah, that was the news, guys. We had a very long segment of news today, mostly because of the indies, the Switch Online service. Make sure you check out the website, switchindiefix.com, because I will be posting a lot of what I said here on there as well. So, if you want to read more into it, please check it out. If not, yeah, I totally understand if you don't want to kind of listen and read the same thing twice. So, section 2 is the conversational section, as always. It's always, it's what have I been playing this week. But honestly, I've not played anything on the Switch. I've kind of taken a break from it because I was feeling a little bit kind of burnt out on games, where I started to feel like I was playing games like that I didn't really want to. And because I didn't have that much time this week, I really wanted to like focus on what I wanted to play. So, I've been playing Saturday Morning RPG. Like, I hope to get that finished this weekend. It's like a very okay game. I talked about it last week. It's if you have like if you grew up in the 80s and have a lot of nostalgia for 80s like pop culture, then it's a game that you'll like. Its battle system is kind of very repetitive. Like, I think I've now got the system where I can just beat anyone on any enemy on it, which makes it a little bit boring to play. But so the review will hopefully be coming up during the week or coming next weekend. And Skies of Fury as well is another game. I still haven't gone that far into it just because I haven't had time. But yeah, I like it. I feel like every week we talk about Skies of Fury on the podcast, so I won't say any more. What I have been playing is a lot of Fortnite. Season 4 launched this week. I'm really trying to get into it, but I'm playing on PlayStation 4. I know it's not really Switch Indie Fix content or news that you guys want to talk about, but I imagine a lot of you are playing it too. So yeah, hit me up on Discord or Twitter if you want to play with me. And I was also briefly playing my PS Vita this week, which is unusual because since the Switch I've not really turned it on. But I kind of found this awesome indie game called Reverie that came out on the Switch. It's made by, if you guys don't know, I'm what's called a best friend in the Kind of Funny community, and this game is also made by another best friend. So I kind of found it out through a lot of like people on Twitter talking about it, and a lot of like the Kind of Funny community talking about it. And it's sort of it's made in New Zealand, and it's supposed to be like a spiritual successor to the Mother series, or the is it Earthbound series. I've played maybe the first hour of it. It's really it has a lot of character, a lot of charm. The dungeons are really cool. Like the first bosses, you fight a possessed washing machine, so there's a lot of like kind of Kiwi humor in it, which I really like. So if you have played the game, if you've dusted off your Vita recently, let me know what you think about it over on the Discord. So this week, because our conversational segment was so short, I reintroduced the rolling segment that is Bad eShop Description. So yes, the rolling section is back. Bad eShop Description. If you don't know what it is, it's a short segment that points out some of the flaws of the Switch's eShop by pointing out bad descriptions that obviously have not been through a screening process. If you notice any particularly bad ones on your local Switch eShop page, please hit me up on Twitter or Discord, or fill out the Google form at switchindiefix.com /SIF podcast and let me know what it is. Obviously, please make sure it's in English. If maybe I can read it in German, but I don't think a lot of people that listen to this podcast would understand it. So this week's bad eShop description comes from a game called Perfect Angle. And though there are no real like spelling or grammatical errors, I just think the choice of words that whoever the author of this description was is just so convoluted and overly complex, but it really doesn't do justice to the game. So the description reads as: find the perfect angle by rotating the camera to clean up the chaos and find a shocking story fraught with twist. Then the title, Real Optical Illusions. Nothing is what it seems. Sharpen your perception by beating over 100 puzzles through scenarios with no apparent structure or logic. Kind of like this description. Puzzles based on 3D perspective. Detect the perfect angle in which a chaotic composition reveals a figure hidden behind a game on perspective. Test your visual, I think it's supposed to say accuracy, by accepting a greater challenge each time. Stunning graphics and setting. Penetrate the mind of the protagonist immersed in a seductive atmosphere. Stunning graphics, original music, and captivating sound effects. So, like I said, there wasn't, apart from accuracy, there wasn't really any spelling mistakes, but that could have been my mistake, to be honest. But yeah, I just think the choice of words is just so over the top. It feels like the author wrote the piece and then just Googled synonyms for a lot of the words here, which makes the description really hard to understand what the game is about. So yeah, I think this kind of shows like Nintendo maybe needs to look at what is going on to the Switch a bit more. I'm not saying this game shouldn't be allowed on the Switch, but I just mean that like to make more money for them and the developer, maybe they could curate what exactly it goes on the Switch as like the material, the promotional material to sell the game. Okay, so section 4, and that is the final section this week, is question time. I need to clear my throat again. So we actually got like a load of questions this week. I'm really proud of you guys. That was awesome because I nearly ran out and I was getting worried that I'd have nothing to talk about. So yeah, thank you guys for the questions. If you have any more for next week, please go to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast. Fill out the Google form. You just have to basically write your question and write your username. You don't even have to write your username if you don't want to. You can give like a funny name or whatever. Nothing too silly. So this week's first question comes from one of our regulars, Age of Boredom, and AOB asks, if Fortnite came to the Switch and had exclusive Nintendo skins, what would you want them to be? So yeah, I think this is perfect because I've already talked about Fortnite. But yeah, if it did come to the Switch, what skins would I want? So I kind of have some points here. I said you got to go with the classics. So I think there'd need to be like a Mario outfit, a Luigi outfit, not skins. So I wouldn't want to play as Mario in the game, but I'd want like the Fortnite characters to be dressed as like a Mario, a Luigi, Samus from Metroid, Donkey Kong, or I'd love like one where you play as like like a Pokemon trainer. So you have like maybe Red's outfit from Pokemon Red and Blue, or you have so from the more modern one, what's it called, Pokemon Sun and Moon. If you have like the kind of Hawaiian holiday themed outfit, because that would work perfectly with the backpack as well. I think that would be really awesome. I'd also like, it'd be cool if they had some nods to like indie games on the Switch if they did it. So like instead of having a pickaxe, you could have Shovel Knight's shovel as your axe, or maybe like a pixelated golf club from Golf Story, something like that. That I think that would also be cool. Like not necessarily having an outfit for indie games, but having like one of these smaller aspects of Fortnite to kind of give a little nod to indie games. But sadly, yeah, I can't see Fortnite coming anytime soon. It's kind of the reason I got into it on PlayStation 4, because I think it will eventually come, and I want to be good at it on the Switch. So I thought like, yeah, if I start playing it now, then I'll be a bit better on the Switch. But yeah, just with Nintendo's online service, I just still don't think it's appealing to like for Epic to bring it. But I don't know. They're such a big company, like you don't know. They make it work on mobile, so I'm sure they can make it work on the Switch. So thank you, AOB, for that awesome question. The next question comes from one of our Discord, a member of our Discord community, from Darth Studios, who is an awesome guy. He's always in the Discord chat. Always, he's really the one that helped me create the news stories this week, because he posted so much stuff about the announcement. So thank you very much. So and he asks, "What are your E3 hopes? What would your wildest dreams of E3 be?" So, honestly, this year I was really hoping we'd find out more about the Switch online service, because I think this is like the foundation for the hardware. Like, now that it's sold so well, I think they need to have this like infrastructure to be like, okay, this is what we are focused on, like multiplayer games as well as like Nintendo, as Mario and Zelda, and now we have a lot of people that can play together. And I really hope that they would save the announcement till then, and that they would kind of go into a bit more depth about it, and that there would be more there to the structure. Like I said, I really wanted a trophy system, and I really wanted it to be fleshed out. Game wise, I would say it would blow my mind if we saw some gameplay for the new Pokemon game, and that I'd really hope it would get a 2008 release. That's kind of like the thing I'm most excited for on the Switch, is that having like a Pokemon game that I can play on my TV, and hopefully one that is a little bit, well, looks better. Like, I've seen some of these screenshots floating around the internet, which are supposed to be leaks from the game, and there was one where it's like what's it called? It's one of Eevee's, what's it called? One of Eevee's evolutions, the night one, the dark one, I can't remember its name, is fighting in like a almost looks like a Japanese alleyway, and it looked like so cool. And I was like, if that's what the game looks like, then it's gonna, it'd be amazing. But I don't think it will. I think it's gonna look very similar to Sun and Moon. In the time they've made it, I guess it's probably going to be made in like a similar engine to that, with like the graphics buffed up to HD, which would be fine. Like, I really just want to play Pokemon. I really just want to get back into it. And that reminds me that I always thought, why has no one like ever tried to replicate Pokemon? Because I know like there is like Digimon, but that has like its own like twist on it, and like Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of like a thing, but that had like the card collecting aspect to it. And I saw a game called on Twitter, another one that was, I think, backed on Fig or Kickstarter, called Temtem, which is really just like Pokemon, but they have like created their own like monsters. But it is just like a clone, and I always thought, why has no one done that? Like, I personally would like to make one that is a bit more grown up, with a more like an adult as you can get in Pokemon story, because I feel like Pokemon fans, though there are still kids that are Pokemon fans are like out my age. Like, they grew up with the anime in like the early 2000s. They played the Game Boy games, they collected the cards, and obviously a lot of people kind of fell off after the card craze, but there were still people like me and probably you listening that have played every game since, or most of the games since. And the story's always been the weakest point in Pokemon. But so I'd love to see a more grown-up version, maybe with more like realistic graphics, and more like, the like maybe like these monsters are scary. It's more like Persona, where these monsters are like kind of odd looking or scary looking, and more for like people our age, or people my age, I should say. But yeah, indie-wise for E3, sorry about that little Pokemon rant there, but indie-wise for E3, I'd love to see more developers announce exclusive for the Switch. So maybe like Devolver Digital comes out and announces something exclusive, or Nikolaus announces more exclusive titles. Tiny Build just had their game, their first Switch exclusive game come out, called The Garage, which I haven't checked out yet. But yeah, I'd also like to see just more ports come. Like I said, like I'd really love to see Reverie get a port. Like, I don't think it would be an E3 announcement, but maybe what's it called? An indie showcase. That's what it's called. An indie showcase. I'd also love to see the Swords of Ditto come. Crossing Souls, which is a Devolver Digital game, and a game called Sir Eats a Lot, which I've been kind of following on Twitter for a while. Looks like really cool, but again, it's kind of like locked to the PS Vita, made by more kind of funny best friends. So yeah, that would, I'd love to see that come over to the Switch too. So the next question comes from Daryl Talks Game, and he asks, Other than Celeste, what do you think is the best indie game available on the Switch to date? So again, I have to admit, if you follow me on, follow me kind of closely, you all know that I still haven't played Celeste, and it's like on my list to play. Don't worry, I will play it. I know it's good. I have to play it, and I will play it. However, I have played like a lot of great indie games on the Switch, and my favorites are have to be Golf Story is up there, which is a great game. I love the humor in it. I love the mix of golfing and RPG. And yeah, that was like I've said before, was the game that kind of inspired me to be like, okay, I want to write about indie games on the Nintendo Switch. The next game would be SteamWorld Dig 2. I gave it 10 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic game. It's kind of, I think, perfect in the way that it teaches you the mechanics so well, and it has so many cool mechanics in it that it feels like a game that you could play almost endlessly, because you can just play through it and beat the story, like which I did, or you can just go back and they also have like almost like Zelda shrines where you can just go back and unlock more for your character and upgrade your character. So it's a game you can play for 8 hours, or you could probably play it for like 30 hours. Really awesome game. Another one is the Adventure Pals. I played that recently, but I was kind of unlucky. It had a few technical glitches in it. It's nevertheless a great platformer, great humor again, great art style, something kind of different, which I like, quirky, a really fun game to play, and a more artistic indie game I would say is Old Man's Journey, which is actually, maybe I'm a bit biased against because it's made in Vienna, so it's like local to me, but it's a very beautiful, touching game, and it actually is perfect because it links into my next question, which comes from Kool-Aid Moonwalk, who is one of the admins of the r/Nintendo Reddit subreddit. If you like if you want to support smaller content creators, smaller Switch content creators specifically, you should go to Nintendo r/NintenTube. It's a great place. Lots of awesome people there. Really great community, very active. A lot of people posting and commenting and upvoting. We're all kind of working together to try and get to the same thing. So it's really like a supportive and great community. So props to Kool-Aid for doing that. You should also check out his YouTube channel. I think the name's the same, Kool-Aid Moonwalk. He makes really cool, really funny Pokemon kind of, I can't remember the name, but it's kind of like a Pokemon MMO he plays. Yeah, he's a really funny guy. I really like watching his videos. It's always kind of like the highlight of my week when he posts one. So yeah, make sure you check out his YouTube too. So Kool-Aid asks, I should say, there are a few people that I've come across on Reddit that have a condescending attitude towards indies on the Switch, lumping them all as low quality games. What game would you show to these people to show them how their narrative is false, to demonstrate the potential of how ambitious an indie game can be? So yeah, as I was saying, I think Old Man Journey is like a perfect example of this. The art style is beautiful. It's very high quality. It's I really see it as like a piece of art because its gameplay is very, what's the word, minimal. Like it's a great kind of platformer where you basically have to manipulate like the landscape to get a man from one side of the screen to the other. But it is minimal, and there are a few puzzles in there. But the game is based on its art and its narrative, which is the narrative of this old man getting bad news and going on a journey to kind of get to the person who, that is the bad news. So it's like a very grown up story, very touching. And it's one of those games where it is a mobile port. But that doesn't take anything away from it. It's a great game, and if you have a Switch, you should definitely check it out. I think it's about €9.99. It's short. Like a lot of people say that about mobile games, that they're short, but I think it's so well compact and condensed to, okay, this is the story, this is what you need to do, and when the story's finished, it's finished. It's and that's what I really like about it. So yeah, definitely check out Old Man's Journey. Other indie games with a narrative, Another great one would be The Last Day of June, which is another very like story driven game which has like these aspects of like rewinding time, and it's basically the last day of June. Spoilers, is about the last day of this character June, who dies in a car crash, and you play as her husband, and you were trying to do everything you can by reversing time to stop the crash from happening. Again, yeah, it's like the art style is very unusual. It kind of looks like a water painting, but it has like this morbid aspect to it, which kind of looks out of place. But when the more you play the game, the more it kind of works together and clicks. The story again is the main point of it. It's very sad, very touching, very like makes you empathize with this character, which a lot of games have never made me do. Like, I'm not a person that gets really like emotionally attached to a game, but this one really like got me. Again, it's very short. It's like I would say it's like an art piece. Again, like it has a specific thing it wants to make you do, and it does it in like the perfect amount of time. There's no like baggage and no clinging on. It's like, okay, this is the game. This is like the gameplay of it. This is what the story that we want to get across, and then this is the end. And even though it's short, it makes you think about it, for days afterwards. And still now, I still think about it. So that would be another great game to show people and be like, look, this is a piece of art, and this is something you shouldn't scoff at just because it's on the Switch or because it's on a mobile. So thanks again, guys, for the great questions. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you have any for next week, make sure you go to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast. It'd be like, I really want people to, I'd really like people to like come up with, if they see news, come up with questions about the news as well. That would be awesome, because I'd like to mix in a few with the news segment. So, like if someone had a question about Minute coming to Switch, like it'd be cool to kind of mix it all in and really get it to flow. I still would like to do this question section at the end, because I think you guys ask great questions. There was, like I said, there was more, but there was a few questions where I would really love to have like a co-host here and have their perspective on it, because it is so much more like opinion based, and I think they would make great like conversational pieces. So please, if your question didn't get read out this week, it will do the next time I have a co-host on, which will hopefully be next week. So that's it for this week's show. It was a little bit longer than last week's, which I hope you like. A bit more content for you to listen to. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to sit down on the bus or on the train or on their computer to listen to the show. It's nice to see the statistics growing a little bit every week. So it's very encouraging, and I keep getting good feedback from you guys that you like it. So it's really great to hear. So thank you very much for that. But please do remember to review the podcast wherever you can, and to like it, to subscribe to it, and to share it. That's especially on Apple. It's really simple to review it. You just give it hopefully 5 stars and just write great podcast. That's all you need to do, because then for new people that are searching for it, it kind of will rank higher in their search results, because the more reviews you get, the more it seems that your podcast is worth listening to. So if you guys could just take, 30 seconds out of your life after you finish the podcast to just go over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts or on SoundCloud, or even on Spotify, and just like upvote it, like it, and give it 5 stars. That would be really, really cool, guys. So remember 30th of May, Wednesday, it's a Wednesday night for people in Europe, is the Game and Chat over on the Switch IndieFix Discord. If you want to join the Discord, which I think you guys should, it's just go to switchindiefix.com/Discord. We're going to play Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8, and some other games. So it'd be awesome to see you guys there. So come and say hello. Don't be shy. Everyone in the Discord is awesome. Everyone is very unique, and I really like that about it. So please make sure you come and join the Discord. So let me know what you thought of this week's show over on Discord or over on Twitter at SwitchIndieFix. Don't forget to post your questions for next week's show at switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast, and you could get mentioned on the show. And for all things indie, make sure you tune in or head to switchindiefix.com. Thanks a lot for listening, guys, and I will see you all next week.